Good to go.
Call the land division committee meeting for December 9th, 2025 to order. There are any disclosures of pecuniary interests? I have none. No. None here. Thank you. I have a motion that's moved by Stephen Lewis, second by Doug James, that the minutes of the land division committee held November 18th, 2025 be approved. All in favor? Second motion that the agenda be adopted as presented. All in favor? So it's approved. And no one joining us. We can keep the description of the project fairly brief. I'll go ahead and do that, Allison. That'd be great.
Owner Malcolm Williams, with the support of agent Kristen Sporn, submitted consent applications B25-028 and B25-029 to create two new residential lots along Iron Mine Road within the township of Atlantic Highlands. The proposed two services and European land meet minimum frontage and area requirements of the local zoning bylaw. They reviewed the application, considered the features on the subject land as well as surrounding uses, and received comments supporting the application in principle from the Township Conservation Authority septic inspector. The Ministry of Energy and Mines noted the lot operations are not expected to be affected by the abandoned mines within 1 kilometer of the subject lands. Staff originally intended to approve the consents through delegated authority. However, the applicants were opposed to condition 7 of the Township Planning Report, which appears as condition 12 within Appendix A. That could not be resolved by staff. The condition relates to the need to provide a hydrogeological assessment to the township in accordance with the local official plan. Comment from the applicant are presented within Appendix C, and further comments and clarification were provided to staff via email on Monday, December 8th and this morning. Staff are recommending the application be granted provisional approval in accordance with the draft decisions presented within Appendix A.
Thank you. I guess since we have no one here, we can cut this relatively quickly. The issue is always a hybrid key. Does anybody else have any questions of any of staff, on any applications or anything else on the application? Steve.
Just to clarify, you see in Mississippi Valley, they're asking something about a water course. I couldn't see a water course. Shoreline, not all of the shoreline and water course. Just not sure where that is. In the advisory notes, it doesn't really. In accordance with the provision of the relevant municipal zoning bylaw, the existing vegetation along the shoreline of the water course shall be retained for a minimum of 15 meters.
So the conservation review noted that there's a non-evaluated wetland. So it may be related to that. Sometimes they'll do dashes in between. There are options there. So it's more of an item of note, not that it has direct impact on the consent applications themselves.
That satisfy the question, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know, stated, but I guess it doesn't mean a whole lot anyway. But
I tend to agree, but it doesn't hurt to have it there, so. Okay with that. Doug, did you have something?
So was the objection resolved concerning the hydro G? As far as the applicants are concerned?
I can share it over.
So Christy is going to display the email that was received this morning.
Would have seen that.
No, it literally came this morning.
It came this morning to us, so it's not included within the agenda package. In short, the applicants believe they should not be required to do the hydrogeological assessment, where the township believes that it should be done based on their official plan. So that's something that we couldn't resolve here on the county level.
I guess sort of what disturbs me, and not sort of, it does disturb me. in his statement, the applicant says, and I quote, the planner brought up the option of doing larger lots to avoid doing a hydrogeological study. The size suggestion was 2 acres each. Based on the planner's suggestion, we revised the lot size to 2 acres each. We wouldn't have, then he goes on to say that they would have gone ahead with the application if they had known. If the planner gave the advice that a 2 acre lot would require, I had to see the basis of this objection. But you always like to see hydro Gs. Yes,
I think the key on this one was that there's 2 bases under which they were contemplating the need for hydrogen. One was the lot size, which they did address in making the application, but I think in pre-consultation, there was an admission that the distance to the aggregate pit. So
I think it was to the pit, yes.
the pit is also another policy criteria that you trigger hydrogen, and I believe that's what it is, not that the lot size is the proximity. That's correct.
That's what the report is.
Yeah.
Like as well, that it's the proximity of the pit. The applicant isn't here, perhaps one of the staff, there's how many houses are located between these proposed lots and active pit? Well, yeah. Or we could look that up on the GIS system, I had a hard time trying to sort that out at home, and find the information there, but it looked to me like there was 2 or 3 homes between the active pit and these lots. But, I'm not sure that changes the policy, but it's something that we can consider. Yes.
It would certainly make the hydrogen assessment, it would make it a lot cheaper, if it were about this. Yes, it would.
Oh my God.
Findings.
I'm not gonna be able to show it. This is a new computer.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that there are guidelines in the township's policies that direct what needs to be done as far as this hydrogeological assessment, because they're asking in the provision and plan that a professional conclusively demonstrate that the proposed non-extraction developments, so creation of lot, can be adequate to serve with water and sewer in a manner which will not impede continued operation of the pit. Since it's about water, I don't know how it could possibly impede the operation of the pit, just makes no sense to me, but that's what it reads, and it would not be. My thought is that it would be an opinion from a hydrogeologist, rather than going in and drilling wells and doing detailed study. It should be something that's quite a bit less expensive to do, but I'm not sure what they're asking for, because their condition says that meets the requirements of hydrogeological studies and London townships.
Yeah, they're showing here, so. You,
Yeah, it is difficult when they're not here representing their individual interests. I mean, to your point, perhaps a letter from a qualified professional about the potential for interference between the 2 uses with sufficient time to have full detailed assessment. And that will be within the committee's right, obviously, to amend that condition, we would just, in hope, and in the absence of representatives here, that would satisfy both parties. I believe the applicant is very adamant that they don't want to correct the assessment, it's not about the scope of it. But perhaps if it was to a lesser extent.
Let's do.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not for the creation of the lots, they don't want the hydro fever for the pit, I agree with you, that's the reason. Usually pits are happy to get rid of water, the more they can draw the better, but if we do something in the middle, how you word that, like, that sounds like a reasonable idea for both.
Yeah, I think you just have a condition that says that the applicant provide a opinion from a qualified professional to substantiate that there is And then this would be the key, right, is it limited likelihood, no likelihood, right, you know, of groundwater interference between the proposed dwelling. Okay. To the extent to which you want to be satisfied.
Let's see.
So we are still, there is a development agreement required for it. I believe, so we still be putting on the groundwater, sufficient quality of groundwater is not guaranteed, that will still be going on, right? Yes.
If that's part of the standard language, we don't approve the development agreement, that's between both municipality and that. Yeah, it usually, honor a decision, sometimes we include some kind of clause on general, I'm sure that is, sure, you know.
No, thank you.
So yeah, or you could just put a letter of opinion from a qualified professional to the satisfaction of the municipality, and then they can make that call in terms of. I'm just thinking to myself, a professional engineer that would provide a letter of opinion that's unqualified, says that we know impact bids, don't know if they would do that. So I'm thinking if we made that the bar, not achievable, absent doing a full detailed assessment, so they have more primary information to base their assessment on.
This is the best we can do. They have updated this computer, so CGS is not installed anymore.
Okay. So where's the pin in relation to these lots?
Where is that? Is it over here?
So. Over here, what's the road?
This part down here.
So based on our CGIS system, there is a pit where the mouse cursor is now. So it abuts the subject property, and then also across the road. There appears to be a pit, and then there's another one that is to the southeast of the subject lands. That doesn't abut it. So those two different parcels that Christie's kind of jumping between are both pits.
Okay, thank you.
Don't. And be a water engineer, this is more apt, something comes from the pit into their well. The future.
Well, that would be the types of concerns I have normally been asked to address as opposed to the opposite. This condition is pretty specific, not the condition, but the provision in the official plan is pretty specific as how it's worked. And I guess if we're going to ask them to do a hydrogeological investigation, it'd be worded in conjunction with how the condition is. Or the provision of the official plans. As opposed to asking for something that the township is going to dictate how the study be done.
Yeah. So. Where are we now?
Township still the approval agency, I'm not sure it's going to make a huge difference how we word the condition. Any comments, Doug, any thoughts?
I'm sort of lost on the night. I wish that somebody was here to. Both of them, yeah, I can't know what. It's going to be acceptable to those parties.
And it's totally within the rights of the community to defer the application and request all parties be here in January. And we can have that more detailed conversation between the parties. You know, the policy is pretty clear in the plan. You know, whether or not the plan thinks there's wiggle room or interpretation there, it's not as much something.
Condition 11 asks for a development agreement. From the recommendation of the mineral resource impact study. It wouldn't be hard to put water, yeah, we will.
I have a question with respect to the development agreement.
Go ahead.
Needs to be registered on title. I'm not convinced that the director of titles will allow those sort of planning instruments to be registered on title anymore. So there should be a caveat to that, that if the allowed or by the director of the plans. If you won't allow it to be registered on title, then is that condition?
Yeah, my understanding is I don't know if the registering agreement itself making it binding, I don't think they're registering agreement making it binding on future property owners, like a statutory authority to register a subdivision agreement would create. But I think at a minimum, the registrar notice on title that there is an agreement that applies to the property. I'd have to look into that further to get the exact details, but it seems to be that we haven't had issues with barren conditions where development register on title was required from municipalities, including my islands.
Satisfied with that? Yep. So Stephen, would you like to see the conditions amended to include to have the development agreement include a clause indicating that we're not guaranteeing the quality or quantity of water, which is kind of standard.
I think that's prudent, and I don't think it causes anybody any hardship.
Okay, I'm fine with that as well. We were for a while, every time there was a development agreement, asking that that clause be inserted in the agreement, and otherwise putting it on as a note, so. I'm fine with going back to that same process on this.
I'm fine with that to see that there's nobody here to object to it. I guess we'll find out with the amendment, whether somebody's unhappy with it or not.
So sorry, just so we're clear, we strike the requested condition from the township for the hydrogeological assessment and replace it with. Some kind of standard clause in the development agreement acknowledging that the local authorities are responsible for quantity or quality of water.
No, we didn't say scrap the hydrogen, I want to add one in for that.
Okay.
I think then I want to just move on to propose condition number 12 and look worry that and see if we want to scrap it, amend it, or leave.
Yeah.
I think that would be a kind of a separate thing, like. Steven, what are your thoughts on that?
That's the. No, I like the idea we had earlier there. What was that?
A letter of opinion, you still engage a hydrogeologist, but instead of them drilling a well, doing water testing, doing a formal. Groundwater movement assessment, those types of things, they might be able to provide a letter of opinion on a desktop basis. Now, you may not be able to find a qualified person who's willing to state that opinion without doing the full scope of work. And if that's the case, then I think they're into having to do full scope of work, that's a requirement.
But is there a way they can use, is there, I see a lot of lots there now, so we can talk a little bit about it. There's a lot of severances in the neighborhood, are they built on or are they still vacant lots?
I think it's a mix, but yeah, there'd be well records in the area for sure, existing drilled wells, now that won't give you quality information, but it'll certainly give you stacked groundwater levels, those types of things, and pump tests from the original well.
So I'm wondering if that can be used. Yeah. Use it's a bit of middle ground. Okay.
The actual condition makes reference to the provision in the official plan, which I read earlier, that. Isn't asking for a full-fledged hydrogeological assessment, it's asking for. in my opinion, it's asking for a hydrogeologist. Or an appropriate professional to confirm that creation of the lot isn't going to have a negative impact on the operation. Of the bed. It's done that through the. Study that they had done already, this is looking at from a hydrogeological perspective, which wouldn't have been done by the. Other aggregate study. Maybe it's okay the way it's working. Okay,
Okay, let me,
so we're ready for the question then? All right, so it's moved and seconded, that application B 25028 and B 25029. Be approved subject to the conditions presented in the planning report, and I would add in there as amended, which we're going to amend the condition for the quality and quantity of water. Any further discussion on that?
and for me,
All right, all in favor? That's carried. Yes, there are no deferred applications or confidential reports. No. Any comments on the calendar? Anybody? I'm glad I downloaded it. You said you're not gonna be here for the January and March meetings, Steve? And we may or may not even have meetings at those times anyway. I guess that depends on the workload, what comes in. Does it look like we're gonna need meeting in January this point?
It's too early to tell. We originally intended to have two separate, applicants discussed today. And one of the applicants asked for the report to be deferred to another meeting, and we haven't established when that new meeting might happen.
If there is a problem, or you pretty good internet. Great, how about that?
Yeah, I think generally we're not having a lot of applications. If the applicant is asking for it to postpone for a meeting, I almost hate to have a meeting and the expense of a meeting for one application, so maybe since they already postponed it, we could make it better, but we'll see what else happens. Don't want to hold people up. I don't think I have any concerns with the, but
I have no concerns with the county, the whole lands. We wait for Thursday.
okay, so the next item is the appointment of the chair for 2026. So I think it's sort of time somebody else stepped up to the plate. So I'm wondering if one of you two gentlemen do that.
I always say, why change a good thing?
No.
You know how many times I've tried to take something that's working quite well and try to make it better and completely run it, so I suggest, I'd like to know Jim stays to help with another year.
I thought in stepping back basically is that I intend to be finished when this term, when my term is done. Not reapply, and I think Doug might consider reapplying, so just to give some continuity of the committee in the position of chair.
Which, what are you going to reapply for the next term of council for land division committee?
Maybe you know, I didn't, maybe, I don't know what I'm gonna have for breakfast.
I don't think that everybody on this committee, there should be some continuity going forward, that somebody from this committee should carry forward to the next term. So if old Jay had Steve around when you be here, I would plan with everything else being equal. I would plan trying to submit my application in for the appointment of the next term.
So I don't find being chair that onerous. It's not like I get phone calls from, I don't think Allison's ever called me. I think Mike and I email back and forth about a few issues the other time, but it's not been very much. It doesn't take a lot of extra time, so it doesn't bother me. I just think it provides some continuity if there's a continuance, being chair will help. So that was up to you. If you want to do it, I'm happy to let you do it, and if not, I'm not gonna argue with it.
My only reluctance is your knowledge of planning is so superior to mine that your input, you will have it still for, so next November, I guess. Or could be fine with this, the next committee, but, I just don't have the expertise, which we still on the committee, for the next term, and it'll only be until the end of, so if you're anxious, I would take it over.
Okay. All right, so we do have a motion. That Doug James be appointed as chair of the land division committee for the year of 2026. All in favor?
Hi.
All right. Good.
That means you're sitting over there.
He can decide to sit wherever he wants. I just sat over here so I could see everybody when I'm trying to do this. Yeah, that's not. He used to sit up the front, but we got that taken away from us from Boston.
We went virtually, yeah.
You realize you're doing that off.
All right, I don't think there's anything else other than the motion to adjourn, so it's All in favor? All right, that's carried as well. Thank you.